Welcome into the world of HTML. 3. Boot up your computer.
Windows sign in dialog.
2. Grab some comfort food. 1. And let's go. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Quinn here, and I'm back with a brand new video in the HTML series. In today's video, we will be dealing with height and width in CSS. But before we continue with the video, as promised, I want you guys to stay tuned to the end of the video where I have a fun riddle for you guys. Do you think you can solve it? But as usual, before we get into it, please be sure to like the video if you love the content, subscribe if you're new, and to turn on that notification bell to be alerted whenever I post the next video. Also note that the instrumentals for this video have been provided by Inner Sanctum Entertainment Ltd. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So by now, you should know that when we are measuring height, we're talking about how high something is, so measuring it from top to bottom. And when we're talking about width, we're talking about how wide something is, so measuring it from left to right. Now in CSS, the height property is used to set the height of an element, and the width property is used to set the width. The height and width properties do not include padding, borders, or margins. And if you don't know what those are, then you can go back to the 3 previous videos in this series where I discussed those. So the height and width properties only sets the height or width of the content area of the element. The height and width properties can have the following values. Auto. This is the default value. With this value, the browser calculates the height and width. Length. This defines the height or width in length units such as cm, px, etc. You can view my video on CSS length units to learn more about these. Percent. This defines the height or width in a percentage of the containing block. Initial. This sets the height or width to its default value. Inherit. The height or width would be inherited from its parent. Here is an example of setting the height and width for the paragraph element.
P left brace, 2 space height colon, 200 px semi, width colon, 50% semi, no indent right brace.
Let's go through each line by character.
H, E, I, G, H, T, colon, space, 2, 0, 0, P, X, semi, W, I, D, T, H, colon, space, 5, 0%, semi.
This element has a height of 200 pixels and its width is half of its parent's width. So if a div element is its parent and its width is set to 100 pixels, then the width of the paragraph element would be 50 pixels. Now let's move on to max-width. The max-width property is used to set the maximum width of an element. If the content is larger than the maximum width, it will automatically change the height of the element. If the content is smaller than the maximum width, the max-width property has no effect. The value of the max-width property overrides the width property. So this prevents the value of the width property from becoming larger than the max-width. The max-width can be specified by one of the following ways: length units, percent, or you can set it to none, which is the default and means that there is no maximum width. It can also use the inherit and initial values as well. The max-width property works great in cases where the browser window is smaller than the width of the element. In this case, the browser will add a horizontal scroll bar to the page, which may seem a bit tacky. In this situation, if we use max-width instead, it will improve the browser's handling of small windows. For example, this element has a height of 100 pixels and a max-width of 300 pixels.
P left brace, 2 space max-width colon, 300 px semi, height colon, 100 px semi, no indent right brace.
Let's read that line by character.
M, A, X, dash, W, I, D, T, H, colon, space, 3, 0, 0, P, X, semi.
Now let's move on to min-width. The min-width property defines the minimum width of an element. If the content is smaller than the minimum width will be applied. If the content is larger than the minimum width, the min-width property will have no effect. This will prevent the value of the width property from becoming smaller than min-width. The possible values for this property are length units, percent, initial, or inherit. Now let's move on to max-height. The max-height property defines the maximum height of an element. If the content is larger than the maximum height, it will overflow. The overflow property defines how the container will handle the overflowing content. If the content is smaller than the maximum height, the max-height property has no effect. The value of the max-height property overrides the height property. This prevents the value of the height property from becoming larger than max-height. The possible values for this property are length units, percent, none, initial, or inherit. Here is an example.
P left brace, 2 space width colon, 300 px semi, max dash height colon, 100 px semi, no indent right brace.
Let's read that by character.
M A X dash H E I G H T colon space 1 0 0 P X semi.
Now, as I said before, the overflow property specifies what should happen if an element's box has overflowing content. When the content of an element is too big to fit in the space that is specified, the overflow property specifies whether to clip the content or to add a scroll bar. This property only works for block elements with a specified height. Here are the possible values of the overflow property. Visible. This is the default value. With this value, the overflow is not clipped and renders outside the element's box. Hidden. With this value, the overflow is clipped and the rest of the content will be invisible. The content can be scrolled programmatically. Clip. With this value, the overflow is clipped and the rest of the content will be invisible. Scrolling is forbidden. Scroll. With this value, the overflow is clipped, but a scroll bar is added to see the rest of the content. Auto. With this value, if the overflow is clipped, a scroll bar should be added to see the rest of the content. Initial. This sets this property to its default value. Inherit. With this value, it inherits this property from its parent element. Here is an example of using the overflow property.
P left brace, 2 space width colon, 300 px semi, height colon, 60 px semi, overflow colon, visible semi, no indent right brace.
Let's read that by character.
O V E R F L O W colon space V I S I B L E semi.
Now let's move on to min-height. The min-height property defines the minimum height of an element. If the content is smaller than the minimum height will be applied. If the content is larger than the minimum height, the min-height property has no effect. This prevents the value of the height property from becoming smaller than the min-height. The possible values for this property are length units, percent, initial, or inherit. Here is an example.
P left brace, 2 space min dash height colon, 200 px semi, no indent right brace.
So there you go. So that is it for CSS width and height properties. So now you can go ahead and set the width and height for your different HTML elements, such as your images, your containers, your headings, and stuff like that. And you can use them along with your borders, your padding, and your margin to make it an awesome looking website. But that is it for today's quick video. Now let's get into the riddle for this video. It's riddle time! This riddle is tricky. This riddle is hot. Can you answer this riddle on the spot? For this riddle, I want you to put your answer down below in the comments. You're limited to 2 answers, and I will shout out the winner in the next HTML video. So here it is. I am a food item. My name is one word. You mostly eat me for breakfast. What I start with sounds like what a baker does. The rest of my name is a trickster. Who am I? I'm excited to see which one of you guys can get the answer right for this one. So put your answers down below in the comments, and in the next HTML video you will know if you got it right. But that is it guys for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, right? I enjoyed making it for you guys as usual. Please remember that the transcript for this video will be provided on my website. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for the next video in the series. Please remember to like the video if you love the content, subscribe if you're new, and to turn on that notification bell to be alerted whenever I post the next video. Remember, I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.